Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Investing and Trading Live. As always, it has not changed. My name is Josh Lilquist, and we are happy to have you with us today. Today is Saturday, August 12th. The market is closed, and we are going to do today a weekly market recap. We're going to talk about some of the major moves in the stock market, some of the commodities, gold, silver, oil, cryptocurrency potentially, might even get into some currency movers, also some stocks and options opportunities moving forward. Now, today with the market recap, as always, we're going to start with the S&P 500. Currently, the market closing at 445.65, down 0.06 on the day on Friday. But the week, actually not looking too, it had some volatility, but it actually was a down week, 2 weeks in a row for the S&P 500. Now, respected off that supply zone that we've been talking about for probably a couple weeks now. So there's some bearish movement in the markets, especially with the S&P 500. That's kind of your gauge of the overall market. That's the SPY ETF. Next, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is the DIA ETF, ending at 353 even on the day Friday, so closing out the week. Actually positive on the week. So the Dow Jones, a little bit different than the S&P 500, has a green candle, showed a little positivity on the week. So that not currently in a supply zone, so there's no correlation there. A little bit off, but it doesn't always correlate with the S&P 500. Next, we have the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ, not looking good on the week. Boy, this one here, 2 weeks negative on the chart here, but opening up at around 373, closing at about 365 on the week, down roughly about 2.192%, we'll call it, on the week. So not a good week for the NASDAQ. It is in two demand zones, but those ones don't look too good in there. I'm going to look at a daily chart. We're looking at a weekly chart there. Nothing really jumps out at me on that one either as well, although it is low on the percent Bollinger Band. So is this a pullback in the markets, with the markets coming down a little bit, or is this just a complete change in the trend? Because this has been an uptrend for about since the beginning of the year, actually. Well, actually, end of October last year, in a complete uptrend since then. So really, market's looking good on the overall picture, but respecting that supply zone that it actually respected back on, oh gosh, what was it here? I believe it was in 2022. So overall market's not looking too good. A couple of red candles. The Dow Jones is the only market that showed some positivity. So we will continue to monitor those moving forward. Now let's look at gold and silver. Gold on the week still has that supply zone overhead around the 2008, 2021 area. Looking on a weekly chart, and by the way, gold closing the week at 1913.04. Closing the week negative, so that one's showing some bearish pressure as well. So not inversely correlated with the major stock markets. Silver closing the week at 2268. Also a pretty rough week for silver. Those ones both sliding here for the past month or so. And there is a demand zone a little bit lower. I believe that's on a daily chart that we may see some buying opportunities coming in here. So we're going to continue to monitor that. Potentially, hopefully we can get some premium in there with some options on SLV. But this is the silver spot market. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin currently, since this is a live market, at 29,458 even. And Ethereum at 1,853.60 cents. So, respectively, those two markets had some movements, and they got into some sideways action for a while, and then dropped out of that zone we've been talking about. That was probably a good month or so, and now it's created another sideways action. So, not a whole lot of movement in the Bitcoin market. Let's go into some currencies. Last week, we had a couple currencies we were talking through. I believe one was the Australian dollar getting down to our target that we had talked about, the trading the dimes at the 65 cent area. Currently at 64.96. Or sorry, 0.6496. Australian dollar. No, this would be Australian yen. This one has a bullish bias, and we are just waiting for the entry point, getting down to that hesitation line of 93.25 and almost getting to the target of 95 even, but retracing a little bit here, so we'll see what happens with that one. Let's get into some stocks now. Some notable stocks. Apple, sliding here the past week and a half or so. They had good earnings, but yet still sliding from the highs of almost $200 per share. Currently closing on Friday at 177.79. Nvidia also sliding from the highs, really from the highs of 481, 482. Currently closing the week at 408.55. There is a demand zone down at the 320 area. It could take some time to get down there, but there might be some opportunities here with Nvidia as if this does continue to go down. BHG closing the week at 13.93 and had some big volatility, but then again hasn't moved a whole lot. Turtle Beach had bad earnings this week on the 7th, and it actually oddly enough went up. So Turtle Beach doing the opposite of what earnings is kind of projecting here and said for the past quarter. Now, I don't know what the talk was with here, which is Turtle Beach HEAR. That's the ticker symbol, but showed a little bit of strength here. I believe that was on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday really dropping down a little bit. Not going down back to the lows of Monday, but that being said, positive week for Turtle Beach. A pretty good week actually for them. Going into Tesla, currently closed at 242.65. And one more notable that was a decent mover was WWE, actually down a little bit on Friday, but showing some strength again, getting to, all-time highs again. All-time highs of $115 per share. So they talked about it on Monday. They had SummerSlam last week. Who knows if that news or that event catapulted this market. Their earnings were actually a surprise negative 0.24, which is down about 26%. So, but the revenue was actually up, and that's probably because they did a lot of layoffs. Anytime you see layoffs in a sale, that's going to happen. UPS, we talked about that on the show here this week, continuing to slide. GE up 0.191% on Friday, closing the market at 114.60. And Disney, one stock that we've been monitoring for a while, showing a big drop here on Friday, but still yet way above our strike. We're going to be looking at some options on that Monday, so stay tuned for Monday for the show. We're going to look and scan for opportunities on Monday for premium, see if there's any opportunity with options with Walt Disney, even Netflix, Caesars Palace. We'll even look at the major markets, S&P 500, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and see if there's any opportunities there with those markets, since they are low on our percent Bollinger Band. Percent Bollinger Band is telling us where is price at in relative to where it's been lately, and that will give us a gauge on what to go look at. It's not telling us what to buy or sell, but it's saying, hey, go look at me because I could be in an area of interest. Target closing at 131.05. So that is your major market update and stock update for the week. One thing I wanted to look at for next week is earnings. On Monday, there's going to be about 170 companies reporting earnings. Let's see if there's any major household names that I see just off the top of my head. Nothing that jumps out at me on Monday. Tuesday, there will be about 50-something reporting on Tuesday. NU Holdings, H&R Block, that's a household name. Nothing else really to note of that could be any big movers. Let's look at Wednesday. There'll be, 30, just under 30. Cisco being one of the big ones. And that's about it for Wednesday. Thursday, about 32 companies reporting. So earnings are slowing down. And Friday with 11. So kind of a snoozer of the week next week with earnings. So we won't be paying attention to a whole lot of that unless you're trading Cisco. That might be a mover for you next week. Let's look at Forex Factory for the news for next week. Monday, not a whole lot of news for the U.S., but the Australian dollar, the Aussie, they'll have some monetary policy meetings on Monday. Tuesday, nothing big for the United States dollar. We will see New Zealand do a rate statement. They are projected to stay at 5.5%. Wednesday, nothing big. Might be a snoozer of a week next week. Unemployment claims obviously on Thursday for the U.S., and that's it. So next week there's not going to be any major moves in the markets. So it could be quiet as far as news. So pay attention to your charts, pay attention to supply and demand, and see if you have any opportunities with your stocks, options, futures, or Forex. Let's look at the U.S. dollar. We haven't peeked at that for a while, but the U.S. dollar has been driving a lot of the market moves. Currently closed at 102.85, ending the week strong. Looks like ending the week at the highs of the week of 102.85. That being said, it was a positive week for the U.S. dollar, so showing some strength there. Can this continue to drop down the equities? It's a potential. We do have a close above our 102.50, so I'm saying I have a bullish bias with that, taking it up to at least 115, but more so in the longer term to 120. So that being said, we got some big moves here with the dollar that could spark some stock market changes here moving forward. One thing we didn't look at was a Russell ETF. That closing the week down pretty big, closing at 190.99 for the Russell 2000 Exchange Traded Fund, which is the IWM. So that's your major movers of the week. I don't see anything that really stands out to go look at here today, but the energy sector, that was up on the week, so which leads me to believe oil was up on the week. Let's take a peek at oil. Oil ending the week up just a little bit, so not much of a move for oil, but the energy sector going up. So inflation, where are they getting these inflation numbers from? I couldn't tell you, but according to the chart, XLE, which is our energy sector, continuing to go to the upside, nearing those all-time highs again. We're roughly at 89.90. The all-time highs at XLE, or not all-time highs, but the highs of the last few years, is 94.55. So that's something to consider here moving forward, is what is this energy sector doing? Is our energy costs going to continue to go up? We are going into our winter season. So heating oil, all that stuff is probably going to continue to go up. Same thing with USO, the United States Oil Fund, which is the ETF, ending positive on the week and creeping up to that $75 mark. So getting up to those highs from back in 2022, which was June of 2022, just over a year ago. So that's a few things to be concerned about moving forward, especially with inflation, what's going to be happening there. What are some of our opportunities? One of the things that we can do in the markets is use the market as a hedge. So if you're a person that spends a lot of money in gas, and if you feel that gas prices will continue to go up, might be an opportunity to buy some oil, buy some energy. The energy ETF, if you feel that's going to go up, try to offset some of that just in a different type of a way. So there's just different things you can do with the financial markets. Obviously, don't get in the markets until you learn it. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only, mainly mine, but hopefully you find it entertaining as well. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We do a show almost every single day, usually not Sundays. On Thursdays, we typically do 4 shows. That is also streamed live on our YouTube. You can just type in Josh Lilquist on YouTube and catch some of the outtakes with myself and Al on that on Thursdays. So that kind of wraps up the day here on Saturday. I wanted to give you a quick update on the major movers of the market. major indexes, some hot stocks, ETFs, and currencies. So that being said, collect your profits when they are given to you. Protect your losses when they are small. Until next time, retire young, my friends.